Hey everyone, how's it going? It's Thomas back at you with another video. Today I want to be talking about possibly a new investment for you guys, something that you guys can look into. Obviously, we've had a lot of hype stocks in the past few months between GameStop and Doge, AMC. We've got a lot of stocks that have been growing at tremendous rates, basically uncanny ones. But today, I want to look into possibly another fund you can be putting into your portfolio, something to invest in that's maybe a little bit different. And that's going to be some clean energy funds. So, clean energy funds have been on the rise as of recently. This article by CNBC says that they're up more than 30%. And, there's a lot of reasons for this, but one of the biggest is because of these fuel prices that we've been experiencing lately. And, I know we've all felt the impact of that. I once had the unfortunate surprise of seeing gas prices go up by 20 cents overnight. That was not a great surprise. And I had to fill up that day too. So, it was the best of no worlds. But essentially, these prices have been driving up, and it's hard to say when there will be a clear end to the increase in prices or if they're going to come down. Now, for the reasons for these increases are various, and I don't plan on discussing that or getting into it. But what I can say is people are starting to look for alternatives to it, whether that be electric cars or hybrids or whatever else. But it's not just in fuel, it's also just in everyday life. People are looking for ways to use clean energy, try to avoid, the common ones that we use, which is often like fuel and electricity. And I mean, I guess not fuel and electricity per se, but natural gases and energy from plants, which produce a lot of waste. And so, people are looking to get into a different form of energy. And when they're doing this, these funds are starting to grow. And I think there's a lot of potential here because we've only just hit the tip of the iceberg as far as clean energy goes. Tesla really broke through the doors with their electric car. They really changed the game. There's not a single like car manufacturer on the market that doesn't have some sort of electric vehicle on their line. They're not all equally built, but the majority of these companies have electric vehicles. It's become very common. Ford's developed their electric Fusion, Chevy has their Volt, Toyota, obviously, they had their Prius, which is not an electric vehicle, but they started there and they've developed other electric vehicles. And obviously, Tesla has had many electric vehicles. Actually, the big one with Ford is they're developing the electric Mustang, which I think is going to be interesting. I don't intend on buying one, but it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. But the point still stands that we're making a shift in that direction, and there's a lot of companies that will be benefiting from this. And I think it's important that we watch these companies and see which ones are a big player in the scenes. Tesla and all these other companies, they're going to need batteries for these cars. They're going to need lithium. They're going to need various parts which aren't necessarily being produced already since the demand is not there. I mean, fuel driven cars are still the majority, and they probably will be for the next 10 years or so, but it's not uncommon for these changes to start happening. I believe I'm originally from California, and if I remember correctly, I think in the next 5 years or so, 5 to 10 years, I can't say for sure, but essentially the state of California plans to no longer produce any fuel driven cars. They're all going to be electric. And so that means that the only fuel cars you can get are going to be gas cars. Now, California is a bit of an outlier when it comes to certain things like that. The majority of states aren't pushing towards electric cars, but nonetheless, the demand is still there. And so I think it's important that we take a look into these various companies. And so I want to point out three different companies here. Two of them are clean energy, and then one is not, but I want to make a comparison here. So the first one here is clean energy fuels, and their volume increase within the last 30 days or so, it's 1,300%, the increase of shares for this company. So 1,300% in the last 30 days. And there's a lot of people saying buy. So, but we have to be careful with volatility here. Now, I will say this time and time again, understand what it is you're getting into. And I like to look at Yahoo Finance because they give a lot of good data points. But this company, it does estimate to be overvalued. But here's the thing to think about. So we're going to jump over to their chart, and looking at the 1 year interval here, we have a tremendous boost up in here. And this started back over in February. I mean, the climb initially started in about November of 2020, but the substantial progress started in December, and then it kept going up. We had a peak here, and and right now it's a little bit on the low end. We're looking at a little bit of a spike here, but I don't think that this is necessarily a hyperinflation here. I think that this high point up here, this is not the true value of the stock. Not yet anyways. But I would say in here, it's a very fair assessment. Now, that's only 825, and that's pretty low. I mean, the average indicates it's about $10. That's what's holding it at. But, that's not an accurate assessment in my opinion, just because of this drastic pull over on the left here. But nonetheless, this fund has just boomed within the last couple months, in the last 6 months, and it's kind of on the down low right now, but I don't think we can expect it to drop off. I'm expecting it to increase within the next few months because of how high fuel prices are, how much people are starting to get back on the road, how much people are starting to try to get a car. There's no denying that the demand for travel right now is quite high. I mean, there's all kinds of stories about people renting U-Hauls because it's cheaper than using a rental car or using a regular car. So car prices are at all-time high, right? Not an all-time high, that's not correct, but they're at a high, and gas prices are at a high. And so clean energy is looking to be a good alternative right now. And so, this is a US-based company. They're based out in California. And I think this could be a good investment. I think, right now we could be looking at another spike somewhere in the near future if the prices that we have continue. And so the second one I want to point out is First Solar Incorporated. This is a solar company based out of Arizona. And once again, Yahoo bases it as overvalued, and they're detecting bullish patterns in the momentum. But for a short-term gain, I think we could be looking at some good numbers here. Now, right now, it's up about 1%. It's not experiencing a lot of movement per se, but this is the 1 year course. And once again, we're looking at this spike up here this is January, and it had the low back in December. And once again, there was that climb all the way. And then, we had a bit of a low again here in March, and it's kind of started to level out. And I think right here is somewhat more of a true reflection of its actual value. So solar panels, they're not quite as popular as electric cars, not really by any means, but they're common, especially in places where there's a lot of sunlight, such as Arizona, California, Nevada. There's plenty of use for them. And so we could be expecting somewhat of a big boom here as well. Now, I won't say this solar company per se, and once again, I'm gonna compare California because that's where I'm from. But essentially, if you want a new house built in California, it has to be solar powered. Like by law, you cannot get a house with standard electricity. It's now has to be built with solar panels. There's no way around it. And the housing market right now it's bad, but people are trying to buy houses. People are looking to move, not necessarily to California, but I'm not saying that, California is not a a no-go state for some people. There are people that want to go there, and there are people that want to stay away. It's kind of, there's not really a middle ground for that state. But states like that, there's going to be that demand. And with this housing market, there's going to be a demand for a house. There's going to be a demand for these various methods. So, I mean, the installation of solar is pretty expensive, but the long run savings, depending on who you are, could be more beneficial than paying a regular electric bill. And so I think that we should start looking in to solar companies, because it's a transition that's being made. And I think this is only the beginning. Maybe they'll come along with something better than a solar panel. It's very possible. I mean, they most likely will. At no point in history have we really ever said, you know what, that was good enough, and really stuck with it. There's always something better, and that's the truth. But nonetheless, we're at a beginning stage. And so I think we can expect this fund or funds with these clean energy solutions to start going off like very soon, especially as soon as we're coming out of this pandemic. People are going to be starting to look to move. They're going to be looking to buy things. They're going to be looking to do a lot of various things, and they're going to be drifting towards things that are more economically favorable. They're going to be more financially stable. Some people actually like a green solution. They want to buy just for that cause. But nonetheless, we're coming out of a weird economic situation where we were in a recession, and so true price reflection was not really there. And so people are learning to adapt to what exists right now. And so then I want to just draw to the last one over here. This is Exxon and Mobil. Now, obviously, not a clean energy solution whatsoever, but I do want to indicate that they're up. They're up quite a bit. And I jumped to the chart here. And once again, they are overvalued. And I don't think Exxon and Mobil is going to drop down to nothing. Like, I don't think that's not happening in the near future at any point. They're not going to become a zero fund sort of stock. It's going to take a miracle, at least in the near future, for that to happen. But I will say, over the year, we had like November low point and this continuous growth. And especially right now, because of how much fuel prices are, they're up. They're not up by much, but they're almost up by 1%. And so I think we can possibly, we can monitor this. There could be a chance to place some puts against this in the future. I don't think right now is looking like the time to do it, especially with how everything is between with the capacity for fuel and situations that we have going on in the Middle East and so many more things. It's a very complicated topic. And so this is on a very high point. So at some point, it's going to become very unaffordable to have these fuel cars. Now, today's not that day, and it's not going to be next month. Heck, it's probably not going to be next year. But there's going to be a transition at some point. I do think that we're looking to move away, not just for the sake of clean energy, because some people just don't care, and some people do. But at the end of the day, we're all going for the thing that's going to be the most economically affordable for us. And at some point, that's going to become an electric vehicle, I believe. I don't know how long we can hold with a gas vehicle. And some people can. There's going to be a point where we're going to hit a median. And, maybe that'll be right with gas vehicles. But with that said, I think these three funds, we can look at them and we can sort of predict where their fair value is placed at, what they're actually worth. I think that clean energy, it's a little bit overvalued right now, but I think at the point of $7 or so, I think that's a leveled out price. Now, obviously, we're going to be watching what the company does, and we're going to be watching the same with First Solar. We're going to want to see what they do. But I think we can expect some increases, especially with clean energy, as long as Exxon and Mobil and the other big ones like Chevron and Shell, they continue to have these high prices because of what various reasons. people are going to be looking more for the clean energy solutions. And I think that we can expect some massive drop off at some point in the near future, because it's hard to say. There's a spike here. We're looking at some very consistent patterns with ups and downs. And so, we could be looking at an increase for the next couple months, but I'm anticipating a drop. This to me is essentially the makings of a bubble, a little bit of one. And, obviously, like if we scroll back, this is quite a ways back. This is almost 2 years ago, so it's not even necessarily applicable data. But, it's got to come back up here at some point back in 2020, back when the pandemic was starting. So it's climbing back up maybe to its natural price. But at the same time, if there's that resistance from clean energy fuels and other options, it might not make it back to that. And so I think there's something we really want to speculate on. And so that's going to conclude this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this semi-different topic. I hope to give you guys some more advice on some different funds. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. And let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. Do you think maybe we have something coming up with clean energy? Maybe not. Maybe we have a new third option that we're not even aware of. Or maybe is old fuel here to stay? Let me know what you think, and I will see you guys all very soon.